Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Fuel for Success, episode number 146 on this beautiful Wednesday. Man, it looks gorgeous there in Michigan, Matt. I'm thrilled to be home in Hastings, Minnesota. Went for an awesome walk with my dog last night down by the river, and Minnesota's a beautiful place in summer, just like Michigan. How are you today, my friend?
Blessed, man. I mean, really blessed. And that's something, thank God it's our show about spirituality because not enough people really truly get to a place of true gratitude where they really feel blessed. You can say I'm blessed, but when I say I'm blessed, I literally mean I'm blessed. Like I really feel blessed. And
Yeah,
I think we should all try to grab that feeling again because that alone will increase joy and it will put us in a state of happiness and knowing that no matter what's going on in our life, no matter what has happened, I'm blessed. And
yeah,
even saying those words, I'm blessed, makes a difference. Like, why say when somebody asks you, how are you at the grocery store, and you say, I'm fine, or how you doing? Oh, good. No. Like, I get people look at me like this most of the time when I say, I'm blessed. Like when people ask me, how you doing, at the store or whatever. I'm blessed. Like they look at you like, wow, that's refreshing to hear. Because, most people are in that negative energy, which we're going to talk about later on in the show today. But good to see you, my friend. And you're right, Michigan is gorgeous in the summer. And Minnesota's gorgeous in the summer. I'm looking forward to hanging out with you guys in Minnesota a little bit. And then nobody get used to this, me being out of Florida, because I will be returning soon. Even though I'm gonna come hang in Minnesota for a little bit. Once that's over, I'm locking down, baby, because it's getting ready to get cold in all these other places, and it's gonna be even more beautiful in Florida come September, October, November, December, January.
I
I'm
like
looking
that.
forward to the fall, my friend.
Me too. Hey, as Matt said, today is Wednesday and it's Spirituality Day. Today we're going to be talking about spirituality. I did want to cover a couple of details real quick, just for some folks that may not know. We have a Facebook page for Fuel for Success as well. You can go, the link is right there. You can go like that as well. And we put some updates there and some things that we may not talk about on the show, may not be on the website. Just a good way to interact. We actually did a cereal poll on there recently, so we'll do the results of that at some point. What people's favorite cereal were based on our cereal episode. Um, and one
Intriguing.
other, yeah, one other quick, just as a sort of as a service to our viewers, I want to just give you this link right here. If you remember on episode 49, Dr. Charles Sefcik was on here, a good friend of mine, and he posted this link yesterday. I asked him about it. And anybody who's interested in really getting to know a lot about detox, this is an 8-day, there's free registration, it's online, it's an 8-day detox summit with like 25 leaders in the field that are going to be speaking about detoxing your body. And it doesn't
Oh,
cost
I'm
anything to
in on that.
register. So that's the link right there. It's also on the Facebook page. I put the link up there. So if you're interested, it's August 4th, I think it starts. You may want to just check that out. Again, free registration. I'm sure that they're going to be talking about some products and so forth, so there'll be opportunity to buy products. But overall, it's going to be a lot of information about detoxing. So you may not want to. And I know today is not our health and weight loss show, but I wanted to get that out so people could plan for it. Um, hey, one other thing. Uh, 4 episodes to our 150th show. Next Tuesday is episode 150. That's unbelievable. I'm excited about it. Are you not hearing me?
You know what's funny, Mike, is I'm hearing every word and I'm enjoying it. I was just thinking you were talking to all of our viewers, and I'm emailing myself the link to register for this, my friend.
Okay, no, go ahead.
So,
Anyway, so it's episode 150
oh,
next Tuesday. We're going to
by
have,
the way, yes, I'm
yeah.
excited, buddy. I really am excited. I really am excited. I really am. I mean, I'm excited what God is doing through
Okay, I
Fuel for
believe you.
Success. I'm blessed. No, it really is a blessing. I mean, it's a commitment to do the show every day at 9 a.m. It really is. But it's a blessing. It is more of a blessing than it is a commitment. But yeah, big 150. We got some surprise coming out that day. We really do. We got two really cool things that we're going to be releasing on episode 150 that I think people are really going to like, man, and be happy with.
I believe so as well. Hey, you mind if I show everybody this that we just got yesterday?
Yeah, show them, Mike. Which that touch? Yeah, show them.
So check this out, full paperback copy with book binding, Healing Power Juicing, Matt's book. You can actually buy this today on Amazon.com. It's also available at mattmaddox.com, direct from the author, but now you can buy it right on Amazon.com in a very nice, high quality paperback copy. Amazing, cool stuff.
Is there a link
So if you
to
can
that?
go, I can get one.
No. You don't have to. Later on, it's fine. I just was curious. They just got to go to Amazon.com and click the link, or type in my name.
Yeah, you can just type in Matt Maddox at Amazon.com, and you'll get both the Kindle version and the paperback version. But here, let me grab the link quick. This is like a search link, but it'll work.
People are saying it's prettier than the one they have. I apologize, guys.
Yeah, so this is a regular trade quality paperback with 60-pound bond paper. Very nice, high quality. We're excited about that. It's all about progress, right? So
yeah, absolutely, man.
And actually, Amazon decided to put it on sale right now. It's on sale on the Amazon site. So there you go.
Nice.
For whatever the reason, since it's new, they decided to knock $1.50 off the price, and that's it's actually their hit. So.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Wow. Go Amazon. Well, thanks for doing that, Mike. I really appreciate that, man.
Hey, no problem.
I know you were going to feature the book today, but thank you, my friend.
Well, I just got the proof copies yesterday, and I'm pretty excited about it. So I'm like, man, this is so cool.
I haven't even seen one yet.
I have 3 of them. I'm the only person on the planet that has 3 of them.
Nice. Get a picture of those. No, just kidding. I got yesterday's. Anyways, I knew Mike would throw his hat. Like, I seen one yesterday.
So those are all the details I had to cover. So today is Wednesday, and we're going to be talking about spirituality. We had talked about doing a little bit about perspective, and I was going to mention that a little bit. And you had talked a little bit just a second ago. What was it you mentioned? I'm sorry, because we have a bunch of questions always that come in, and some that we have from past shows.
My bad, Mike. Go ahead and you share what you want to share. I was just going to say Serge is calling out for a free copy for everyone that's here today. So we'll do that. And Sherry asked me to write a juice and health recipe book. Well, there's a lot of juice recipes in there, Sherry. So anyway, yeah, Mike, tell us. So basically right now, and I know you had shared with me a little bit last week that God's been dealing with you about perspective. Give us a perspective about what you mean and feel about perspective and the power of it and the importance of it in our life.
Well, I really had 2 things that happened to me that I really felt like God spoke to me about perspective. And it was it happened a few years ago at a time in my life where, for those that don't know, 15 years ago, I was an atheist and didn't believe in God, was really not spiritual at all. And a series of events happened. I don't want to get into the full testimony, but received the Holy Ghost, was baptized in Jesus' name, and my whole life changed. My whole family My immediate family, my wife and my kids, we all just were on fire for God, started living for God. And at the time, I was a highly paid software engineer consultant, traveled around the world. We really lacked nothing. Let me put it that way. Upper middle class, doing very well, extremely successful. Within about 2 years, pretty much everything fell apart. Broke, lost my house, foreclosure. I mean, 3 years probably it took for everything to happen, and it was difficult because it was like, okay, I'm doing everything right, and all of a sudden everything is falling apart, and I didn't understand. And a couple of things were happening. One thing was uh, the first thing that happened that really gave me perspective was I was actually flying into, I think, Phoenix, Arizona at night. And as we were coming in kind of over the mountains, I don't know if you've flown into Phoenix, I'm sure you have. You sort of come down over the desert, over the mountains, and it was nighttime, and I'm looking down, and what I saw was absolutely beautiful. It was this beautiful landscape, and I couldn't really tell what it was. I think my contacts were out too. It didn't help at all, but I was looking, and I'm like, man, that's incredible. What is that down there? And as we got closer to this just beautiful landscape below me, there was all these lights, and it was this wonderful like pattern. And it turned out it was a forest fire that was burning tens of thousands of acres and destroying it. But from 20,000 feet, it looked amazing. It was just this beautiful landscape. Uh, and at that moment, I said, well, this is a little bit about God's perspective. The things that we see up close don't necessarily look the same from 20,000 feet away. Um, and this is probably going to tear your heart out, Matt. But the second thing that happened was my kids both had a health issue that affected their teeth pretty bad, and they had to do quite a bit of dental work while they were young. And my daughter Danny Jo was probably, I don't know, probably about 6 years old, and she had to have some dental work done. And if you've ever, and like extensive dental work, like some fillings and caps and things of that. And I don't know if you've ever taken a small child in to get that kind of dental work, but it's not much fun. And so Carol had actually taken her in, and they weren't able to even do the dental work because she freaked out. She literally freaked out. They couldn't even like give her the mask or anything. And Carol comes home, and she's like, "You're going with me next time." I'm like, "Okay, okay." And Danny and I totally have that dad-daughter connection, right? Well, I mean, we're very close. So I went in the next time, and she's little 6-year-old Danny, and she needs this dental work done, and she's laying on the little chair there, reclined, and they're bringing the thing, and I'm talking her through, and I'm smooth, I'm compassionate, like it's going to be okay, everything's going to be fine, and she starts to freak out, and there's nothing I can do but hold her down, and I'm trying to talk her through it, but I'm holding her down, and she's throwing a fit, and she's screaming, and she's kicking, and she's like, "Daddy, Daddy, this hurts. Don't you love me? Don't you love me? Why are you letting them do this to me?" And at that moment, God spoke to me and said, "You see what she needs to have, but she only sees right now. And I know that if she doesn't have the dental work done for the rest of her life, she's going to have problems with her teeth. It's going to affect her health. And she only sees that moment." And in that, God showed me that perspective. And he said, in my perspective, I see your life, and I see your life 10 or 15 years down the road, but you're only seeing the pain of right now, even though the pain that you're having right now is necessary for you to have what you need to have in the future. And that in that moment, from that point on, God revealed to me that his perspective is so much more broader than ours, and he sees things that we can't see past our momentary pain, just like Danny couldn't see past the next 5 minutes of pain in her teeth, and I could see, her wedding day when she's 30 years old, and and her
Yeah.
teeth are in good shape, right? But she couldn't see it in that moment, and a lot of times we're like Danny in the dentist chair, and we can't see that 10 years from now we're going to need what's happening right now, even though it feels painful. And God went on to reveal that, all of this stuff, all these tragedies and all this stuff that happened in my life, all that stuff was coming anyway because of decisions we'd made in the past. And he pulled me into his shelter just in time. And so my losing my job, losing my house, all of those things would have happened anyways. And God saved me just in time. So, I still have my marriage. I still have my family. I lost a house. I got a different house, right? I mean, it's all those things. It's like you look at God's perspective and you go, he really knows what the best thing is, even though it may not feel like the best thing right now.
Mike, one of the most powerful stories I've ever heard, and something that is, I believe, helped a lot of people today, personally helped me. You're so right about the perspective. Sometimes we don't see that. But the analogy of your daughter feeling rejected by you and how can you let them do this to me, Dad, is sometimes how we feel about God. It's how
Exactly.
Jesus, the flesh, the humanity of Jesus, when he said, God, why have you forsaken me? And we've all gone through those valleys where we've had issues with God, thinking, God, how can you let this happen? And you're so right, man. I remember when I went through a breakup, and I remember a buddy of mine walked up to me and he said, Matt, he put his hand on my shoulder and he said, you don't see it today. He said, but God never says no to what he don't say yes to something better. And he said, just keep smiling because God sees what you don't see. And man, it wasn't about a year later, and that girl like changed like almost overnight and became just somebody that would have literally shipwrecked my life. Did it
Yeah.
hurt in the moment to go through that? Absolutely. But Mike, what an analogy. And speaking of perspective, funny you should say that because 2 weeks ago, Caleb and I were somewhere at a hotel and he wanted to go get something out of the car. And I usually don't let Caleb out of my sight in a store or like in something like that. He's almost to the age where maybe I can, but I'm still just a little careful. And so even though I told him he could go, I still followed behind him a little bit and just stood in the parking lot watching just to make sure he was okay. And when he turned around and walked back up to me, he started smiling. He goes, "You were there the whole time?" And I was like, "Absolutely, buddy." And I was like, "That's how God is. Even when you don't know." And that's not like a fear. I wasn't painting him like God's always watching. I was like, "Hey, even though if something would have happened to you, you didn't even know I was there, but I was there and
Right.
ready in a moment's time to protect or do whatever, and I'm just saying, like, man, it really is all about perspective. And if you don't mind, since we're kind of on this subject, um, I'm here for the last 3 days. Honestly, just I felt like God spoke to me to do it. It wasn't in my plans. It's actually on my way to Florida, and I literally felt like God called me to take 3 days and heal and rest and refresh. And I had like the most. I've done a lot out in nature the last few days as far as just sitting and meditating and resting and reading books. Caught up on a lot of reading and just I had the most aha moment yesterday. um some of you and Mike and I are going to share our stories one day. We really are. But part of my story and part of something that has affected my life in more ways than I can even tell you in this one show. But my mom chose to literally people would abandon me when I was 2 years old. She literally left me on my dad's porch, and she was going to send me to Indiana if my dad wasn't willing to raise me. My dad was only 18. I'm not going to go deep into the story. And all my life, I would see her for 6 months, and then I wouldn't see her, and then I could never stay the night at her house because she had this crazy, and when I say crazy, I mean crazy husband. Um, who was the very reason why I had to be given up for adoption in the first place. And anyway, just a long story. I could tell you a lot about this that I've learned. But for the first time in my life, literally yesterday, and it has set me free. I'm talking, it has put more freedom in my soul. I don't know how I had to wait till I was 38 years old for this light bulb to go off. But when I look back on it, Mike, even though I felt my entire life like I had missed out, I never lived with my mom ever past the age of 2. So I didn't have that bond, and there
Yeah.
was all that. Anyways, but I look back on it in the mercy of God, man, because even though I wanted my mom so bad, Dude, my dad married this lady who was unbelievable. I mean, you could take the dream stepmom and you could literally, she should have a statue, and there should be a street named after her. She's like the stepmom of the ages. Like, there's no way to be a better stepmom than what she was. And I look back on it, and my other brother who got to live with my mom, his life was living hell growing up because my stepdad was a raging drunk. He was extremely possessive, jealous. My brother couldn't even go around the house without a shirt on. And I grew up in a home where, I had my dad who was fun and played ball with me a lot. And I had a stepmom that was like, put Mother Teresa out of business. She was such a sweetheart. She was so loving and nurturing. And I look back on that, Mike, for the first time, I was like, I'm trying not to weep on the show, but like for the first time yesterday, speaking of perspective, I was like, God, you literally like saved me. Like this whole time I was feeling hurt, I was feeling rejected, I was feeling betrayed, I was feeling abandoned, I was feeling, just kind of like, but I look back on it, I'm like, you know what? And it put a freedom in me, Mike. You know what it did? And I don't want to go real deep here, but I do know this, that like life is energy, period. Some people, the reason why bad things are happening in their life is because they have bad energy. It really is. Energy is so powerful, and God has given us energy as a gift from God. And when
Yeah.
your energy is zapped or suppressed or it's drained, and a lot of us have drained energy from our past or from hurts, bitterness, whatever it may be, and until we get unlocked in that, our energy's not going to really be able to like I look back, Mike, and I think, I promise you, I marked that day down in my journal yesterday. My life's going to be different. You're going to see a different mathematics because I'm not tied to that anymore. I'm not locked in that pain. I'm not locked in that wound. I'm not locked in that the feeling of a victim, or like, how could my mom do this? And yeah, I forgave her. I really have. I mean,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I never viewed that as a blessing. When in reality, Mike, it was not only a blessing, it was God saving me. It was literally God saving me, because my brother and I are like this, but he'll tell you to this day that his life was living hell growing up in that home. And I didn't have to grow up in it. And I had an amazing stepmom.
The the
Anyways,
cra- the crazy
go
thing
ahead.
about the crazy thing about perspective is that you it's easy to have the right perspective like after something is over when you're not inside it, but it's the further away sort of you get from something, the better perspective you have on it, right? Like if you're standing in the middle of a forest, it's very hard to tell how big the forest is. But if you're 10, 15, 20 miles away, maybe up in a balloon, you can see exactly how big it is. And so now on the other side of it, like you said, why'd you have to wait till you're 38 years old? It's because you had to get out of the forest. And once you're out of it, you can kind of look at it. It was like that when I was in the plane looking down on the forest fire. It looked completely different up there than if I was down there on the ground with a shovel in my hand trying to fight that fire. Do you see what I'm saying? So I think that a lot of times we have to take an almost intentional approach to trying to understand what the perspective is from a distance and look at it, from a lot of, here's the thing. I mean, a lot of times we make decisions in our life based on what's going to happen in the next hour, when the reality is eternity is a very, very, very long time. And we almost never look at, not only do we not look at the 10-year or the 20-year perspective, but we don't look at the eternal perspective when we make our decisions, right? Like, and that applies to everything, not just spirituality, but I mean our health, our finances, our family, our relationships, everything. Um, I mean, how often do you think, how's this going to affect me in a year? How's this going to affect me in 5 years? How's this going to affect me in 10 years? That as opposed to what's best for me, what makes me feel good right now, which is really what perspective is all about, is looking at the long term as opposed to the immediate. And your example is a great example, because in the moment all you feel is pain. But when you look at it from a distance and after it's all over and you can see the whole thing at once, you go, wow, that's a lot different than I thought it was when I was inside it.
That's powerful, Mike. Powerful stuff today, my friends, and we hope you're getting the message here of what I believe God, Mike and I pray before every Fuel for Success. Our objective is to bless you guys and to encourage you and to build your faith and to help you. Mike, I will say this, man, about perspective. I was thinking while we were sitting here, sometimes in our life, there's no way that we can avoid what we go through. Okay,
Right.
there's no way. But gaining the right perspective is the difference of whether or not you're going to go. Either way, you're going through it. Either way. So you can go through with the bad attitude or you can go through with the good attitude. But either way, you're going through it. So you might as well choose the good attitude, the good perspective, the good outlook, and really view the good and really take it and say, something like Mike said, don't just look in the now. Look how this is going to affect years from now, and look how you can also take what you're going through right now and say, how can I look at this in a better way? Sometimes you got to write it out. Like, I really believe in journaling and list making and writing. And because sometimes there's healing in that. Sometimes just writing out something and without thinking about it and just letting it go. Mike, I'll say this, and I was sitting there thinking while we were talking about perspective. When you got major decisions to make or you've got a major problem to solve, either way, a major decision or a major problem. Let me tell you what I've learned, Mike. I'm a make it happen guy. I am a problem solver. I'll stay up all night if I have to. I feel like, I know Mike is the same way. We can pretty much come up with an answer to any problem pretty quick. But there are times when you go through something when the logic of you is telling you one thing, but the heart of you is telling you another thing. And you're feeling something, but yet it goes against your logic and your rational thinking. And so there's a collision between your intuition and what's logical or rational. Believe me, I know y'all have been there. I've been there. There's been problems. There's been situations where I've had major problems and I've scratched my head trying to solve it, make it happen, do this. Let me tell you what I've learned. Every time in my life that I have pulled away from that situation and taken my hands off it and literally saying, okay, God, here, I'm going to give this to you and I am literally letting go of this and I'm going to rest and I'm going to pull away. Sometimes it's taking the day off. Sometimes it's not even taking the day off. Sometimes it's taking a walk and looking at the flowers and landscaping and houses and looking up at the sky and literally taking your mind into another place rather than on the problem. And I'm talking like high stress problems. I'm talking like intense moments in your life where there's stress and there's major problems or there's major decisions. Some of you have major decisions that you're making. You're making decisions today that are going to affect the rest of your life. And when you have moments when you don't know what to do and your rationale and your logic is colliding with your intuition and your inner heart, what your heart is telling you, friends, you better pull away and you better get clear and you better think and you better really just let God have it. And every time I've done that, Mike, every time it's come right back to me. Sometimes it's literally happened the same day where I've had to make a major decision. I said, you know what? I'm going to go to the beach for 2 hours. I'm going to lay in the hammock. I'm going to go and look at birds. I'm going to go just stand in the water. I'm going to go walk down a trail, take a quick hike. I'm going to take a nap. I'm going to go swim. I'm going to go bike ride. I'm going to go to Barnes and Nobles, grab a book, and grab a tea and just sit there and read and think. I might even watch a funny movie. I might say, you know what? I'm just going to watch a movie right now. Like literally doing all those things of pulling away from it, the answer comes to you. Have you found that to be true, Mike?
I have, and I think there's two things at play there. One is again sort of backing away from the problem enough that you get a little more perspective on what it is. Have you ever seen those? I remember when I was a kid, on the back of those magazines, they would have the "What is this?" like the really, really close-up pictures. and you had to try to figure out what it was. And when you get really, really close to something, right, like that, it's hard to tell what it is, right? But as it backs away, you can figure out what it is. So a lot of times just backing away from the problem a little bit gives you some clarity and some focus. The other thing is that, you know, uh, sometimes you just need to stop for a minute and be quiet so you can hear God. And God
Yep.
speaks to you in those silent moments. And a lot of times we're so frenetic and we're moving, we're thinking, we're talking, we're typing, we're doing all the things that we do. And God's like going, hey, 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 over here, listen. And finally, you stop and just settle down for a minute, lay in the hammock, relax for a few minutes, and God can speak to you. So I think that's kind of what happens in those cases.
Mike, you know Apollo Ono, who's like this unbelievable Olympic speed skater for the United
Yep.
States. He's got a
Mm-hmm.
book called No Regrets. One of the things that happened in his life, and I so believe in this, when he was 14, he was veering away from skating in his training. He was dodging his training. He was being a rebel kid. He was going out with all of his friends instead of doing his training. His dad took him to a lake house way off away, like 6 hours away, and obviously it was safe. And he checked him into this place, and he said that there was no electricity, no phone, no TV, nothing, utter silence for 7 days. And he said, I'll pick you up in a week. He said he went through the most agonizing, like just agonizing searching himself. Do I really want to commit myself to this rigorous training to be an Olympic skater? Don't want to be a normal kid. And he literally points back to that moment when he was in that much silence where he made the decision, okay, I'm going all in with this and I'm going to become an Olympic skater. Listen, if you don't have moments in your life of silence, I've watched more people mess up their life, Mike, because they're always busy, they're always going, there's so much activity. They never pull away to really just think things clearly, like you said. Some quiet time. Quiet time is spiritual. Quiet time is as important as prayer, because we always think of prayer as, talking. Prayer is also listening.
Right.
Sometimes I'll go into prayer and I won't say a word. I'll just sit there and listen and say, okay, God, speak to me, show me. And
Right.
I want to just give a word to people out there. If you're going through life-altering situations, whether it be a divorce, whether it be, a decision of health or a job or moving or marrying somebody or dating somebody, listen, you need quiet time. You need time to really make sure you hear God's voice on this decision. And pulling away will help you get more clarity, and most of your answers will come in the silence. It's cold
Good stuff.
here.
What, like 65?
Like really cold. Like I'm about to go put on a sweatshirt type cold.
Nice.
Well, man, I wish we could keep talking because this is unbelievable subject, Mike. I'd love to go back into silence next week and share some of the things that we've experienced in the power of getting out in nature or pulling away or getting quiet or taking some time. And like I said, maybe you can't do a whole week. 4 hours would mean a lot. A whole evening. Shut down at 6 p.m., all electronics, TV, phone, everything, and get in utter silence for the evening. You'd be surprised what would happen in your life and in your mind and in your spirit. Go sit in a bookstore. Go sit outside under a tree. Lay down a blanket and just sit under a tree. Dude, I sat under a tree. You saw the church yesterday. Hours, man, just sitting there, thinking, reading, thinking, reading. It's hard for me. Yeah, I got so much I got to get done. But now I'm coming back 100%, which I'll get more done because it took a few days to heal and rest and to process and to think. My energy is back.
Awesome. Well, hey, thanks everyone for being on the show today. It's been great, great stuff today, Matt. Thank you so much.
Love y'all. Love you, Serge. Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for all the unbelievable comments and some great stuff I've been enjoying. And thank you for watching. God bless. We love you. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. for our show about business. and entrepreneurship. God bless you, my friends.
See y'all tomorrow. Make the most of your day.